Hello friends, welcome to Shiksharthi. In this session, we shall be discussing the domain and range of a function fx. So let's start. Now the prerequisite for this session is that you should have already done the earlier session on functions wherein we had introduced the concept of domain and range. Now in this session, we will be focusing more on the representational aspect of the domain and range wherein we will talk about the various ways of representing the domain and the range of a function. Starting off with the inequality aspect, followed by the set builder form, and followed by the geometric representation of the same. Okay, so let me take the first case here. So as I'm taking the first case, let me say that x lies between A and B. So the point to understand here is x is in between A and B. So the word between means it starts from A and ends on B, but A and B are exclusive. They are not inclusive. They are not included. Now, how do I represent this in the set builder form? So you'll say that x is an element which is in between A and B. Now, why have I used a curved bracket? Because the curved bracket symbolizes that the value next to it is not included. This is the interpretation of using the curved bracket whenever we use the set builder aspect or the form of representing either the domain or the range or both. Okay. So now if I would have said that x is between 1 and 2, the only thing that I need to do here is it should start from a lower value and go on to the higher value. This is something which is hidden here, because when you're moving from one point to the other point, please make a note of it that you always move from a lesser point to a greater point. Another thing that you need to understand here is if you say that x lies between minus infinity and plus infinity. Now minus infinity is a very big number, which is a very big number in terms of the moment you put the biggest number in front of the biggest number. If you're putting a minus sign, that means in that case it becomes the smallest. So minus infinity symbolizes the smallest possible number in that given set, and it is never inclusive because minus infinity cannot be measured. And the same thing for plus infinity. Plus infinity refers here to a very big number. So whenever you are representing infinity form, by default it will take curved brackets by default, because infinity cannot be measured. Okay, the second point here is when one of the sides is included but the other side is excluded. So this is the first case, and the second case here could have been x is greater than b but less than or equal to b. How do I represent this in the set builder form? So x belongs to, or x is an element of a to b. So a, whenever you are using a square bracket, that means the value next to it is included. This is the point to be noted. And for b, if I am using a curved bracket, that means the value of b is not included. In the second case, it starts but is not including a, but ends on b, where b is included. So this symbolizes that a is not included and b, the value b, is included. Okay, so for example, if I say x is greater than or equal to 2 and less than 3, that means x will take all the values from 2 to 3, but in that case the value 3 will not be included. In other terms, actually 3 becomes the limiting value. So the moment you say x limits to something, that means x is a number which is not equal to that limiting value, but it is very close to that limiting value. So the same thing here, I am taking an example. So 2, 2, 3. So where the limiting value is 3. Okay. The third and the last case here would be where both the sides are included. Okay. So in this case, if I were to take this as 3, the third case, x belongs to, it starts from A and ends on B. So can I say x is from A to B from? So now mark the words of English being used. From A to B. That means the value A is included and so is the value B, and all the values lying between A and B are also included. Now, when I talk about the geometrical presentation of the same, we know that we would always represent the first case by a line. Let's say this is A to B, because the arrow symbolizes that the extreme values are not included. So the point to be noted here is a line. First case is denoted by a line. So in the same way, when I'm talking about the second case, so it will be either a ray going on this side or a ray going to the opposite side. So dot means that the value is included, but arrow means that the value is not included. So what is the technical name that we can use for this is a ray. Third case, when we are talking about a line segment, basically denotes what? Line segment is something that is measurable, and you can measure things only when their extreme ends are included. The last thing that I intend to discuss here is the usage of some punctuation marks. So now when I say punctuation marks, or maybe usage of some conjunctions. So if I say A or B, this means A union B, which further could be understood as A semicolon B, which can also be understood as, metaphorically, can be understood as A plus B. Now when I say A and B, this should be understood as A intersection B, which is just like saying A comma B, which again metaphorically should be understood as A minus B. Now why am I using the word minus here? Because intersection reflects only the common part, and generally the common part is lesser than the whole, the holistic part. Right? So now if I were to just take an example here, if there is a question like, let's say if somebody says x is a real number and not equal to 0. So you will not say and, you are saying x is a real number, and you are using what here? You are using a semicolon. So you have to be very, very cautious if you are saying x is a real number and not equal to 0. In that case, you are not going to use a semicolon. On the contrary, you will be using what? You will be using a comma. If you are saying and is intersection, so if I have to represent this, How will I represent this? I'll say this is minus infinity to 0 union 0 to plus infinity. This is how you would represent. I hope you have understood this, and the more you introspect, the better it would be for you, and then you'll be able to take this learning to the next level.